Welcome to the Key to Growth podcast, Home Services Marketing Unlocked, with me, your host, Jen McKee. Every week, I sit down with top marketers in the trades, from the brains behind $100 million companies to those scaling from 1 to 3, even to 10 million, breaking down exactly how they got where they are and uncover the secret to their success. If you're ready to grow your business and get real, actionable insights, you are in the right place. Let's unlock the key to your marketing success, starting now.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Key to Growth podcast. I'm your host, Jen McKee, and today I'm so excited because I'm always looking for really great contractors to come on and talk about their real life experience. And I was recently introduced to Frank Luersen to tell us all about how he got where he got in his marketing. So, Frank, if people don't know who you are, who are you?
My name is Frank Luersen, and I'm the owner and general manager of Home Team Electric. We are in Palm Springs, California, better known as Coachella area, and we are a residential service electrical contractor.
Love that. And I just asked Frank off camera if he gets to do all the electric for Coachella, and then he reminded me.
Residential only. Very important.
It's good to know who you are. Okay, so I like to start at the beginning. So did you start this company?
I did. Traditional beginning. I have yet to meet anyone new to the trades whose end goal isn't to start their own business.
Yeah.
Whether they ultimately do or not, but that was my goal. And so once I mastered the trade of electrical, I went to strike out on my own, and that was in 2006. And by the way, that was when
20 years almost.
Yeah, it'll be 20 years. We're celebrating our 20 year in February. So
wow,
really
congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been a journey.
Yeah. So you went through the economic downfall of 2008, and you just told me. And so those first even 10 or 15 years were like, what was that like for you?
Sure. Well, the very first thing that happened was I learned that the contracting world is set up by general contractors, and they use the term subcontractor for a reason. They want to keep you underneath them. They want you to finance all their jobs. They want, all of that kind of stuff, and then beg to get paid 30 to 90 days later.
So were you doing new construction?
Yeah, we were roping houses, and we were doing tenant improvements, they're called, which is basically a commercial remodels, things like that. We did what most contractors do. We want to get all the jobs and contracts because we're contractors.
Yeah.
The funny thing about that, Jen, is I realized I like to think I'm a fantastic electrician to this day, but I mastered the trade, and then I realized, business is a trade too. I've got to learn a whole new trade now.
Right.
And that's when the real journey began. And I tried to avoid it for a while, but ultimately I stumbled onto a fantastic group of people that helped mentor me and teach me about business, and that was game changing for us. That company, you said Chris Vance introduced to me, and he's part of a fantastic company called Certain Path, and they've been my mentors now since 2014.
Love that. And so, I like to always know, like how you got your first customers. And so if you guys were the subcontractors, were your first customers mostly like B2B, like you were trying to be the one that was called from these guys who were getting these jobs?
Yeah. So first thing I started driving around in my truck and going to property managers and contractors and knocking on doors. And, it's a little bit different in 2006, right? It wasn't like you do it now. In fact, flip phones were still a thing, right?
Right. So,
call 411 and get contractors' numbers, stuff like that. But yeah, we just started going around talking to contractors, looking for people that did remodels and were building homes, and targeted them, and which is totally different than what we do now.
I'm sure. And I can't wait to talk about that. But I think that even what you're saying, it still works when you're first starting out. Like you do kind of have to hustle, and no matter who your customer is, whether it's looking for other contractors or whoever, like you have to get in front of them and introduce yourself. Like how much of your time were you spending? Were you also doing the work? So you were like finding the customer and doing the work?
Yeah, I was the company. It was actually my father. I recruited him to help. He's an electrician, second generation. And my 17-year-old brother, who for whatever reason didn't want to go to school.
Yeah.
It was all right. If you're not going to school, you're going to work. Drug him with us. And no joke, we would park at the end of a street and we would start knocking on doors all the way to the end of the street, offering free inspections, work our way back up the other side. We would obviously stop and do an inspection if they invited us in.
Yeah.
And then we would get in the truck, move to the next block. That was my 17-year-old brother and I. That's what we had to do because nobody who knew who we were.
Yeah.
And actually, when we placed our very first home book ad, it was just a little square in the bottom, and it was like $350 a month. And I was so scared. How am I going to pay for that?
Yeah.
Oh, my, how things have changed.
Right. So do you have the same number? Did y'all have like a
we
vanity number, or you have just the same phone number?
do have that same number. We tried to get one that was memorable. Are any of them really?
444. There's like a lawyer's 444. Those are memorable.
Yeah, we have one. Call the 7777777.
Right. Yeah,
That's
they're
a
all
good
the
one.
same.
That
How do those work?
Here's a better question. How do they track it if they're using that number everywhere?
Right. It's just a vanity number. I don't know. Yeah, I know. That's what we think about now, right? Look at you. Totally different hat on. How are they tracking that revenue?
I think every time I hear it or see it, I'm like, they're missing something.
So funny. I love that thought. Okay, so how did you get there? So you got your first customers doing this work as being a subcontractor. So then how did you go from that to like building your own brand and having this residential service company?
So this was 2006. By the end of 2006, I was getting beat up.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It was rough. And, that was also, as you mentioned earlier, the beginning of an economic downturn. And
yeah.
I was sitting up. We had a little travel trailer parked on a pad that was up on the side of a mountain overlooking my hometown.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting in a little lawn chair and I'm feeling sorry for myself. Man, there's only so many jobs and there's all these contractors and they sharpen your pencil, give us a good price. We got more where that came from, but yet they don't want to pay us and we have to find that, I'm pouting.
Yeah.
And I said to myself as I'm looking over the town, and nobody wants anything to do with any of these houses that are already here. They don't even like to do service. Oh, wait a minute.
Like a light bulb.
I did my apprenticeship in a service department. So I was doing commercial and residential service. That's how I got my start. How I decided to chase contracts is a mystery to this day. I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But it hit me. Well, if nobody wants anything to do with all of these houses, I have a service background. That's where I'm going to shift my focus. And I got really excited and just energized me. And so I started doing some research. I don't know if you're familiar with Tony Robbins, but I'm a big Tony Robbins fan since my 20s. And I learned about modeling. And so I thought, okay, let me find somebody that is doing service really, really well. And I'll just copy that. I'll model that.
Yeah.
Let me go find the recipe, right? And so I found that recipe with Certain Path.
Okay.
And that's how I got introduced to the necessarily residential service, but the right way to do residential service. So that's how that started. It was a game changer. And I often think about that moment sitting on that hill. Literally, no exaggeration. So cool. I'm not ashamed to say it. I was pouting. This isn't fair.
Yeah. No, I love that. When you can look back and be like, that completely changed the trajectory of my whole life. Like, I don't know how I got to that moment, but that's always so cool. So you switched into residential service, and obviously you said like you hired Certain Path, which I think that you can attest to this, especially saying how much you like Tony Robbins, but like having a coach and having support, having a mentor, whatever that looks like. I have not been at really any level of my business besides the very, very beginning without someone that I'm looking up to or paying some amount of money to like help me stay on track. So, I mean, I guess like how is that, have you looked into other mentors since then? Like tell us a little bit about that.
Well, first having a mentor is obviously, it's a coach is what it is.
Yeah.
And you can take the greatest sports icons of all time and every single one of them has a coach.
Yeah.
Even say Michael Jordan and his coach paced back and forth on the sideline, watching his every move and still coaching him, right? Yeah. We all need coaches. And in fact, Tony Robbins, even though it was through his audio programs, was my coach. And that's what drove me to become an electrician and get certified and master it and go into business. And so, and then that propelled me through Certain Path was the modeling. So having coaches is obviously important. What's great about Certain Path in particular is there's a number of coaches. So marketing, Chris Vance is the coach, right? And my coach was Certain Path. Her name is Sonia Fryer, and she has a huge history in the home services. She'll downplay it. She'll never give herself the credit, but she is an icon in home services. So I was fortunate enough to get her as my coach. Early on.
That's so cool.
I have, and there are several other coaches within Certain Path. I could name a few as we go, but having those resources and being able to connect with them and share your problems and let them pour into you, and also share your successes and have them encourage you. It's extremely important. It
makes such a difference.
Yeah, it does. And if you imagine you're in a kitchen and you're trying to follow a recipe, and if you had somebody there helping you every step of the way and saying, giving you all the finite details and helping you focus in on not just what to do, but why you should do it, so that it becomes more permanent and it becomes part of who you are. And instead of just something that you're doing. It's not task-based. There's a purpose. It's
Yeah.
purpose-driven now because you understand the why. I think that's also an important part of having a coach. And so,
For
yeah,
sure.
I'm very thankful. One of the best decisions, if not the best business decision I ever made, was joining this particular organization and being honest with myself about where I am so I get where I want to go, and then allowing others to, provide that guidance. You got to be humble. And there's a home service icon. His name is Joe Crisera, and I've been fortunate enough to also be coached by him. And he has a fantastic saying: "Your ego is not your amigo." So really got to just be honest with where you're at and let people share with you and coach you. So I'm a very competitive person, and I definitely need a coach.
I agree with all of that. Like I said, I always am hiring a coach, and then I hire a coach in other places in my business or in my life too. Like I have a coach at the gym, and I have a nutrition coach, and like if I want to hit a goal, I'm gonna have someone else help me get there. Also, just accountability. Like it's easy to get off track when you don't have someone who's like, "Why aren't you doing what I said for you to do?"
I can only paraphrase a little bit, but there's a quote out there. I think it's Vince Lombardi. A coach is the person that tells you the things you don't want to hear so you can become the person you want to be.
Yeah.
And I probably chopped that up, but the point's there, right? And so, you have to have that accountability.
Yeah, for sure. And then the other thing when you were talking that it made me think about is that I'm sure it also opened the door for community, which when you're building something like a business, it's so nice to have other people around you who are experiencing similar things to you are, or, and like we mentioned before this, like other people in your market. But luckily in your industry, there's like a million markets. I don't know how many in the US, but all these other people who are building home service companies next to you. And then through organizations like Certain Path or going to events, you get the opportunity to meet other people doing what you're doing and ask them questions.
Yeah, that's one of the things that struck me early on is how cool is it, Jen? I mean, think about this. How cool is it that you can meet up with, up to 1,500 contractors twice a year and spend close to a week with them and talk about the business you're in, your wins, your losses, what's working, new strategies, what's not working, and speak in such an open and honest way without any fear they'll use it against you in your own marketplace, right?
Yeah.
In some capacity. But I mean, it's such a powerful thing. And some of the relationships that are born of that are, some of my best friends in the world have come from that.
Yeah.
In fact, my very best friends have come through that organization and that networking opportunity. Then you end up cultivating relationships and having conversations and Zoom meetings and getting together and talking business. And it's just so powerful.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it gives you, number one, like your friends who don't have businesses don't understand and they can't answer questions and you can't call them and tell them what you're thinking and they might judge you about whatever it is that you're going through. Having other people who do it as a resource is huge. And then also just coming back to like what we're talking about here, then you have people that you can call about, hey, my phone stopped ringing. Like, what are you doing to get leads right now? Or like, hey, everyone's talking about, building a relationship with Home Depot. Have you tried that? Like, well, how did that work for you? Like all of these things that people have done. And then you have that as a resource as well.
Yeah. I just got suspended by Google.
Right.
What should I do until I get back online? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Or who do you know? That's who you know. I hope you found a good person because that's who you know who can help you get back on track. That's awful. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. And what's that saying? That doesn't kill us makes us stronger. We came out of the other side much stronger because it forced us to get more effective at all of the other channels that we were taking for granted.
Yeah.
And now instead of having a one-legged stool, which is Google, now we have 4 legs on the stool.
Heck
and
yes.
We're going to stand up no matter what. So it made us stronger. It was a blessing. It really was.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about your marketing. So when you switched over to residential, how did you get your name out there? I mean, that's so daunting. As exciting as it was in that moment, then it's like, okay, well, now I have to build a whole new customer base.
Well, the first 3 years, we were called Desert Electric since 2006. In the first 3 years of going residential service, we were Desert Electric. And I realized as I started to learn more about marketing and brand awareness awareness and things like that, I thought, wow, what a diluted name. I thought this is going to be the best name ever because it solidifies us to the marketplace. But there's Desert Add Any Service, right?
Yeah.
And then there started other businesses, Desert Elite Electric, Desert
Right,
Pro
right.
Electric, and there's nothing I could do about it.
Yeah.
And so I decided, okay, we're going to have to change the name. And so that was my first really tough lesson in marketing. And so in 2007, we spent the year just redeveloping the brand. And our logo actually stayed fundamentally the same. We didn't change it too much. So we're able, and that was a strategy, right?
Yeah.
Since 2006, we actually started using this particular logo in about 2009. So we were able to keep that visual identity at least. And my thought was, I mean, if you ask name an electrician, no one's saying Desert Electric, but if they see the logo, they might actually recognize it. So in any event, we kept the logo. We adopted a new name that, we wanted to make sure it says who we are and what we do, and in a powerful way, but simple. We're a team of electricians and we focus on homes. So it just really, we got excited about it, made sense to us, and rebranded, or we developed the brand. And then around October, decided to launch it and spent all of 2018 just really getting after it. It was the first year we hit 1 million.
Nice.
I mean, from 14 to 2000 or to 2018, we hadn't hit 1 million yet.
Yeah.
We're getting there. We're getting close, but we learned very quickly the power of a really great brand identity.
Yeah.
And because we were switching over, it forced us to create all new forms and redo our website. And so we had to put a lot of thought and care into this because, you only want to hopefully do it every once in a great while.
Yeah, for sure.
And so making sure we had the right brand identity and that it represented who we were, a local company. We wanted to be right on the edge of, we've got this great over the top, almost corporate looking brand, but yet the foot on the other side of the line is we're local, we're normal.
Right.
So even in our advertising, we didn't want to have it too polished. We wanted it to be a little gritty. We wanted it to look like, to this day, any picture, any ad, whether it's on the radio, on TV, or in print or social media, doesn't matter. That's us.
Yeah.
You're seeing us. And we're not the best looking people. And we're not, you typically see things on TV. You're going to get the cream of the crop, right?
Yeah.
You get us. And we're just regular people. And I think people identify with that local touch while simultaneously we got that kind of bigger than life feel. And I'll just say one last thing about it is when they see that polished look, they see success. They see good, clean trucks, they see success. When they see professional electricians in uniforms tucked in, black polished boots, the whole shot, they see a successful company that's got their act together.
Yeah.
They would rather do business with us.
That they can trust.
Trust automatically starts to happen there. But the other level is you don't want to go so far that you look like a big corporation that's just here to eat your money and take over your community and send all the money to another state. You really want to be the local people.
Right.
And so finding that happy
it's like a balance.
Was key for us. And that's what we did in 2018. We launched that. And that's when everything changed.
Yeah. So when you did this, did you also raise your pricing? Because now you have a whole new look. And so then you can charge more.
Absolutely. That's an important thing that you just brought up, Jen, because you have to be priced right. You have to, in order to be profitable, in order to take care of your team, provide all the best benefits, the best pay, and maintain that identity. You don't just show up looking good and having great looking trucks. It costs money, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be priced right. But if you're going to have higher prices, you've got to deliver a higher value.
Yeah.
Meaning your service, your communication, the full presentation. And that includes training. So your costs are actually going up even a little bit more. You start talking about training. And so we had to raise our prices significantly.
Okay.
We had done that when we were still, before we hit that million and before we changed the name, we had already done that, but we had to do it again and cover the upfront investment. It's just kind of part of it. That's what I learned when I started. I'm not a master. If you're talking about, say, a black belt, I'm probably a purple, maybe a brown belt by now, but definitely not a black belt yet. That's the mission law. But that was one of the things I learned is you have to know your numbers and you've got to be priced right.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier the 4 legs of the stool that hold your company up, like all of your marketing. So when you experience that with Google Business, like what did you guys add? How did you start bringing the leads in again?
Sure. Well, so in home services, there's a love-hate. Well, I'd say there's very little love. It's a like-hate relationship with, say, Angie's List,
Right.
Yelp.
Yeah.
Their whole business model is to market at a high level and get right in between you and your customer.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
here's the homeowner, here's us. Let's spend a bunch of money and get in between them, and we can
Yeah.
siphon some of that out. That's literally the business model.
Yeah.
So it's no wonder that they're not loved. But I had to, reach back in the day. We did use Angie's List, and so I had to call an old flame. Hey, Angie,
Yeah.
it's been a while. What are you up to? But now that Google's back, we broke.
Okay, so Angie's and Yelp. So
there's some other avenues. So Angie's List was one. Yelp was another. We started looking at different channels of marketing. Obviously, we really wanted to get into Facebook more, Instagram. Those are areas. That's a captive audience.
Yeah.
I could tell you also a story in a minute about how we got into TV and radio. You don't hear a lot of electricians at our level doing that.
Yeah.
Leveraged an opportunity there. That was helpful. But we also started marketing heavily to our existing customers.
Nice.
Using direct mail, ringless voicemails, text messages. I mean, any way we could touch those relationships, I think was probably the biggest difference, was reaching out to our existing customers.
Right. How often do you guys do that now?
Now it's every single week. We have a campaign that is perpetually rolling all the time. And it's never going to stop ever. We'll never stop doing that. And
is that set up as an automation?
Well, it is automated with management, right? Because obviously technology is not always going to do what you want it to do. It's still,
right. Yeah.
Still not as good as us.
I mean, that's perfect. That leveraging your current audience, keeping it. I think a lot of people have access to tools that can help them do those things, but they don't set them up yet. Don't figure out how to use them. Don't figure out how to leverage. I mean, there's so much money in your customer list. Not to discount how important these people are to you, but there's no reason, like, people forget about you. You don't want them to not remember who it was that they used last, especially when they had a great experience.
Jen, here's the craziest thing, and it still boggles my mind to this day. You can have a fantastic brand. You can do all these things to get them to call you. You book the call. You send a text message out that we're on the way. It's got a picture with their profile. We call it, Frank from Home Team Electric. I'm on my way. You do all these things. You pull up in this van. It's looking beautiful. It's parked strategically. Technician gets out, full uniform. Hi, I'm Frank with Home Team Electric. You got a presentation guide and it's branded, and you do all these things. And at the very end, what's the name of the company? Who did I make the check out to? It just blows my mind.
That's funny.
So you can leave this amazing impression. That should be the goal, right? You want to, like a really good movie or a really good book that you just can't stop thinking about for a few days. Or that's the impression you want to leave, on a service call. But it's not going to last forever. And again, sometimes, no matter how effective you are, they'll remember the technician, right? They'll remember their name because they did a great job of communicating. But what's the name of the company? And to this day, we joke about that as a team. So how many of you had somebody ask what the name of the company is while writing the check? And they'll be like, oh yeah, haha, And it's to prove how important it is to ensure that we're delivering on our brand promises and that we're continuously marketing to our existing customers. We mentioned our 20-year anniversary coming up, and I actually was talking to Sonia is, by the way, not my coach anymore. I have a new coach. Her name is Annette, and she is fantastic. Sonia, I think, outgrew me, but I was having a conversation with her yesterday, and one of the strategies we talked about, and she brought this up, it wasn't my idea. We should have a budget, and we're going to do this. So we've built a budget already, and we're going to go into our database. Any customer that is a repeat customer or a plan member, we're going to send them out a nice gift, celebrating and thanking them for being part of our journey. Celebrate our 20 years, and it's going to be something meaningful, nothing cheap and cheesy. I mean, we might have to drop 10 grand on this, but I think the emotional impact it has on including them as part of our story as a local
Mm-hmm.
business celebrating 20 years, I think the ripple effect is going to be meaningful and worth the investment.
That's so cool. So that sounds really unique. Is there something that you can think about in the last years that you did in marketing that you felt was really unique and really made an impact for you guys?
Probably, well, I'll tell you, the biggest impact that we were able to do on our business was during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And during COVID, everything's shutting down. One of the biggest shutdowns is car dealerships, right? Nobody's going to buy cars. You're not even
Yeah.
allowed.
Yeah.
So they're all closed down. And when you think about radio in particular, their biggest client are car dealers. Come
Yeah.
on down on approved credit, right?
Right.
You hear it all the time if you listen to the radio. And so I called up a lady named Dana Bumpensero, and we had done a little bit of radio, but most electricians, it's not in the budget to do that kind of marketing. You have to work your way up to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave her a call, and I basically was like, hey, so, how's things go? It's horrible. Well, sounds like you need a stimulus plan, just like I did, right? Let's put something together. And we were able to put together a really great package. It was about a $7,500 a month package and for $1,100 a month. And I said, yeah, let's do it. But I just need one final thing. I need you to promise me I can lock these prices in forever as long as I never cancel. This advertising works the way you always have said it worked. I'll start adding more because it's going to help us grow. But and she said, I don't think I'll do that. I said, well, it's a 50-50, right? It's a yes or no. Let's ask.
Right.
And they said yes. And I have that in place to this day. And of course, since then, we are on every radio station and our ads play 2 to 3 times every hour. And that was a huge thing for us. But I immediately thought, wow, if the radio stations are having that situation. And by the way, that particular company had 8 of the stations in our market. So it's a really effective situation.
Yeah.
In our marketplace, we have something else that's unique. We have our own TV studios. They're local. It's not LA. It's not San Diego. It's just the Coachella Valley. It's super rare and very unique. But we have ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox. And they just also have all those studios are owned by the same people.
Yeah.
So I thought, wow, I have a great friend named Sean who has very close relationships with them. I called him up and I said, hey, Sean, listen to what I did with the radio. Wow, that's fantastic. I can't believe that. Well, that's great. Well, let's try that with the TV station. See if that works for them. We put together a deal that was almost exactly the same.
And that's incredible.
And we still, every single time the local news comes on in the morning, early morning, late morning, afternoon, evening, and nightly news, our ad plays every single time the news is on all of those channels.
Yeah.
We would never have been able to do that had we not capitalized on that opportunity.
Yeah.
So that was probably the biggest shift in our marketing game that really made a big deal. But here's the thing. Great. Now what do we got to do? We still have to write ad copy. We still got to produce great spots, because you can blow it all up, know? And so we had to get creative. But another creative thing that we're doing right now, which relates to that, we developed over the years a really great jingle. I don't know that you would say it's great, but it'll stick in your head. And everywhere we go, people sing it to us.
Yeah.
And all it is Home Team Electric need us today, we're on the way, in a jingle form. I won't sing it, but people sing it to us. The office team goes out to lunch, the servers sing it to us. It's the craziest thing.
That's so cool.
We've had people go to training and on their way back on a layover, they're obviously headed back to the Coachella Valley. Somebody in the airport singing it to them because they're wearing the logo.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So what we did is we just created these right now. They're on the air right now. We just finished. We got one of the vans and we had t-shirts made and it says Jingle Crew on the back, and all the ladies from the office and I went out and they all got in the back of the van and we shot shots of them all getting out. They're hitting the streets. The Jingle Crew is hitting the streets. It's your turn to sing the jingle.
Yeah.
We went in front of like Trader Joe's in downtown Palm Springs and we got people mic'd up singing the jingle.
Yes.
And so then we were like, okay, this is going to be awesome. We're excited about it. And we thought, let's add a second one. We got to have a follow-up, right? So we got all the kids from everybody on the team and we brought them all in and had them singing their version of it. And we did it in front of a green screen. And so we even had all of our team do it, but that one didn't turn out. So the first one is we hit the streets, right? And it's like a sped up version of the van pulling in the parking lot. They're all getting out. It's all fast and shows us walking out in the streets and, downtown Palm Springs. And then it's got the individual spots where they're singing. And then the end is, great job. And that's the way to do it. And then for the kids, you heard the adults. Let's see what the kids can do. And then now the kids are all singing it, right? And it's super fun and cheesy, but very well done at the same time. That fine line we want to walk. So then when the spot with our team singing it, it's really bad.
Yeah.
At the very end, it's, all right, right, now it's the home team's turn. That's the intro. They do it. It's horrible. And at the end, it's, well, at least we know they can take care of your electrical needs.
That's so cool.
It adds a little, funny spin on it. That's something fun that we just did right now. And again, that creative campaign that is fun and engaging, along with our jingle, none of that would have happened had we not seized the opportunity to put those unique deals together. And that came with experience. During that economic downturn, there was a lot of things that I was learning about that I really wish I had done, but I didn't have the guts, And so 2020 came, and it was like, well, what do we have to lose?
Right.
The world's shutting down. So if it works, awesome. If it doesn't, well, we're all going to be filing bankruptcy anyway.
Yeah. My favorite thing is always to think, like, if you don't ask, the answer is no. And I'll ask, like, over and over again. And one day someone is going to tell me yes. So it doesn't matter, like, how out of reach it might seem. You never know. Like, look at what you got there. Yeah. Perpetuity on the radio. That's pretty amazing.
I exaggerate the odds when I say it. My version is an exaggerated odds. It's a 50-50. It's either yes or no. Now, the odds might be way more against it than that, but it is. It's a yes or no. You're absolutely right. It always
is. I love that. So as we come to the end of our podcast episodes, we ask all of our guests the same question. So you're on the Key to Growth podcast. So what is the key to growth?
Persistence, definitely patience, and surrounding yourself with coaches and like-minded individuals that are going to continuously feed your momentum.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like health. If you're eating junk food all the time, you're going to put junk out, but when you're bringing in that healthy stuff, you're going to be healthy, right? And if you have goals to grow your business, you want to surround yourself with people that can help you grow the business through coaching, and you want to surround yourself with people that are on the same trajectory, have the same interests, and you want to continuously develop your skills, hone your skills, and the journey never ends. And then just enjoy. Be happy doing it. And it really is fun.
Absolutely. I love that. So if people want to connect with you or learn more about what you guys are doing at Home Team Electric, where should they go to look?
So my email address, Frank, it's easy, frank@hometeamelectric.com. You can see us at hometeamelectric.com as well. Shoot me an email. I'm happy to talk to anybody. I like to align myself with people that are on the same trajectory, and I love sharing my journey with people and helping them. It's like, I view it like this, and this is kind of the cert path thing, is there's levels. I'm reaching down and I'm helping people up to my level, but I also have a hand up here, and there are people pulling me up next level. And as long as we're doing that, Jim Rohn said, if you help people, the more people you help get what they want, the more you will get what you want. And that's kind of a metaphor for what I just described. So reach out to me. You could reach out to help me too. I like those as well. But if I can help you, I'm more than happy to do it.
I love that. Thank you so much for being here. You have shared so much. This has been incredible.
Wow. Well, thank you, Jen. This has been a lot of fun, and thank you for having me.
Thank you.